Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Ko-Fi, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Sensual Goat, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Is that it? Well, hello. We'll get on with the show, I guess. We have had Brian's video from today playing in the pre-show, so that hopefully we can discuss it now. Everyone's all warmed up and has listened to that during the pre-show. So if you are one of my members, you'll obviously get a better idea of what's about to happen in terms of the discussion that takes place in this live show. Now, I'm fortunate enough that I was sat around while Adam yelled at Brian. I just got to be honest, that's what happened, and got annoyed with him as they went through the process of formulating a question to put to the ballers. Now, before Brian got here,
that's inaccurate.
Okay, well,
Yeah, that is inaccurate.
Well, then make it accurate.
Adam was not yelling at Brian. Adam was misunderstood what was going on when he entered and what he was asked to do, which I don't think he was asked to do anything. Right, Brian?
Yeah, I think Adam thought I was just running it past him. I just said, like, Adam, I think, thought I was asking something I didn't ask him. And then I was trying to get my point across to him, which was becoming frustrating. Either way, it was a mess.
Well, in any event, in the pre-show we were going through it, and I was pointing out that a lot of the things you're asking of the ballers are based in axioms that literally after I'd pointed it out in critique, you say it 1 second after I press the play button. In other words, you're acutely aware of the axiomatic principles of a flat Earth that they must utilise to just move forward in even talking to you. You know, let alone answering this. They haven't got a hope in hell.
Well, the challenge is that I showed them geometrically. Now, I have to admit, when I listened to it there, I was a bit frustrated this morning when I was making it. So I should have probably waited and calmed down. I was a bit angry about something. But I showed them geometrically what they must adhere to. In other words, they cannot use the formula that's normally used, because that won't work on the globe, as I showed in my last video and I showed in this one. They must use what I showed, and they must use trigonometry in that way, and they must use, for that altitude, that's the distance they're going to have to deal with. So basically it means they're going to have a bigger slope, right, a bigger descent grade, and a greater distance for them to even in any way meet the standard. But what's going to happen is, if they take on that challenge and they take on one of them, like whoever gets in an airplane, gets to 37,000 feet, and then calculates, you know, where they're going to have to be for an airport, and uses that, what I show, what's going to happen is they're going to end up more or less careering into the ground, if you know what I mean, 30 miles before they ever get to an airport.
Yeah,
Or
what you're
more,
saying
maybe.
is the claim is that there's a void opening up ahead of them. Well, if there isn't, they're going to hit the ground. Simple as that.
That's kind of it, basically. It's like the maths that are normally used and the way trigonometry is normally used within aviation for the descent, for what's called the glide path, right? That will only fit a flat Earth. It will not fit. It requires parallel zeniths. It requires trigonometry. It requires the adjacent to be horizontal, to be parallel with mean sea level, and that requires mean sea level to be a horizontal plane of reference. It cannot work on a globe. I gave them how you can make it work on a globe. So try that in reality. If it works, it's a globe. If it doesn't, then you walk away from the argument. It's that simple. It's a cut and dry thing. It's either is or it isn't.
Yeah, but there'll be casualties if they try.
Well, there won't be because the pilot is put up. The pilot is not going to smash into the ground. But what's going to happen is the pilot is going to realise, look, no pilot's going to even attempt it. Yeah. No one's going to attempt that. No one's going to try and do that. It's impossible. You know what I mean? You can't do it. What they want to be able to do is hijack what's normally used and somehow say everything's okay. No, everything is not okay at all. You know, you cannot use the trigonometry in the way it's been used and claim a globe. That only proves a flat earth. That's the problem. So it's either go out and do it and prove that it's a globe, or just shut up about it. It's that
I like it.
I got there early and I saw that there was hardly any comments, if not one, I think there was when I got there. So I thought, I was in an animation class that my eldest daughter sits in. So I was like, oh, this is actually quite convenient. I can sit and watch this. So I did, and I time-stamped it. I don't know if you noticed, probably not. But in any event, I'm going through it, right? Every time there's a prerequisite flat earth, I'm going to put a little timestamp. And then by the time, I think it was about the 16-minute mark, you actually start laying it out as a challenge to ballers. So I thought, oh, I'll start a new message and timestamp that as specifically where the ballers need to come in and address this. Whereas you've just put it, deal with this or shut up, right? And by shut up, I don't mean like, well, Brian doesn't mean, let's not take Valor here, as in shut up about a ball is what Brian means when he says shut up, not just as in leave Brian alone, as in shut up about your ball. It's nonsense. It is. There's a lot of flat earth prerequisites in there. I'm going to be sounding like a stuck record if I go through them all, hence me time-stamping them in my comment, along with a separate comment that points out where the challenge begins at about the 16-minute mark.
Yeah, because I have to go through a heap of stuff before I could even get to the challenge. It should really only be a couple of minutes of a video, but it ended up being 36 minutes simply because all the nonsense I have to go through before I get there. And the explaining I have to do. And there was even another, I linked it in the description, a write-up, a website talking about how trigonometry is used in aviation. And I was going to go through that, but time was going on, so I just linked that in the description. But the point being is this. If it's a globe, they can't, basically, the only way it can work geometrically is how I show. So they either go and do that, and it turns out to be a globe, right? Or they shut up about it. It's that simple. There is no middle ground for them. It's that simple, you know. But we all know what's going to happen. It's not a globe, so what they need to do is not going to work. It's right, but if that's the only way that we can get our point across, is to force them into a life and death situation for them to learn that seems to be after 10 years of our time in flat earth, then that seems to be what we need to do. We need to put them into reality and go, now do the things that fit a globe and see what happens. What will happen is the pilot will have to pull up on the joystick because the plane will be going at an angle into the ground, 30 miles before they ever see any airport. There's no way around it for them.
I just had word in, apparently the world's so big they treat it as flat in this regard.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start taking the piss out of them with that from here on forward, right? Is it so big it's flat? Is that what it is?
Well, do you know what I even made? The video I made prior to that, right? I was addressing the whole trigonometry thing again. The reason I made that is because they were all trying to ignore my complete destruction of their horse manure about horizontal changing its own orientation in relation to itself. I destroyed that last year, and I destroyed it years ago again, but last year I destroyed it. But they were all trying to pretend that didn't happen. So this is a different way, doing the same thing, but in a different way, where if horizontal was a tangent, and at each point, the tangent changed its orientation in relation to the last tangent, then there's absolutely no way, not that I ever thought it was, but this is the nonsense argument they're trying to put out there. There's absolutely no way that at that point they can use trigonometry to deal with descent in the way they do it. It's impossible. If that was the case, then it would be impossible. Because if the Earth was a sphere, what they do and the way they do it, they couldn't do it. It just wouldn't work. As I showed, from a 37,000 feet of an altitude, they'd end up at 1.837 miles too high when they're finished their descent. So that's not much of a descent, is it?
Well,
but
it is, but you, for all practical purposes, to describe it in the language you've just used, you need to describe it with respect to a plane. The altitude itself, how much it's descending, is all described with respect to a plane, isn't it? Axiomatically tied to it. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah, well, sorry, but that's the problem. They want to claim one thing, but then use this other thing, right? They want to claim that they're the globe, but then use this trigonometric function that might have an adjacent that could be 120 and more. It could be up to 100, more than 120 statute miles, and still act as if everything is kosher. It isn't kosher. You know what I mean? You can't just ignore flight data and ignore the trigonometry that you're going to use for takeoff and landing. Takeoff is another argument, because there's other elements in that I'm not talking about yet. It's like, you can't do all that and then go, it's a globe. No, it's not. It's not a globe. It's over. It isn't a globe. I don't know how much more
ignore their
power
own geometry, Brian. They ignore their own geometry, and they just want a ball. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter if it adheres to the geometry that they should be claiming.
Yeah, they just want to. They want to increase the radius when it suits them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you understand this? Do you know what I mean?
The magically expanding ball.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
The balloon,
So it could
expanding
be
balloon.
as big as they need it to be whenever they need it to be, and that makes everything work, right? Good morning, by the way.
Hello.
Hello.
50 people watching.
Yeah.
Just one quick call to action. Please share the show if you've not done so already, and shout out to all the cheerleaders in chat saying the same thing. So shout out to You Gotta Be a Freak, who's saying please share the show as well, and then laughing at the fact that there might be newcomers here. Well, absolutely correct. Yeah, the only reason people are here is because the people who do share the show share the show. So if you haven't, please smash that share button. It's only a couple of clicks. You can stick it on your favourite be here forever social media platforms like Skype or Bebo or MySpace, whatever it is you use. Smash it on there. Let people know. Flat Earth debate is happening right now. We are live. Okay, Brian.
Yeah, can I just point out all the things that we use in the world that have large horizontal distances, right? I won't even use the word horizontal yet. Large distances between 2 points where we must have parallel zeniths. Number one, measurements in surveying of the land, rise over run, and differential leveling over big distances. They all have parallel verticals. The zenith must be parallel. Celestial navigation, you need and require parallel zeniths. Which is also surveying, the angular size of mountains and other big objects, are all objects, but I'm just using mountains because you can be at a big distance from a mountain. Like it could be 100, 150 miles, whatever, 200 miles even from a mountain. It depends on how big the mountain is, right, and what your position, and take an angular size of that mountain, which means that the zenith, your zenith and the zenith at the mountain, your GP and GP of the mountain have to have two verticals that are parallel, two zeniths that are parallel. Then you have takeoff and landing for an airplane. Both of those require parallel zeniths and require distances. Especially for landing, it can be like, it depends on the higher you are, the greater the length of that horizontal. Do you know what I mean? So if you were 40-something thousand feet, you're going to have greater than 120 statute miles to deal with. You could have up to 150 statute miles for that same altitude. Do you know what I mean? So all these things require parallel zeniths. How can we have parallel zeniths being used constantly in the world and the Earth being a globe? How can that happen? It can't.
You can't. Well, you can use, again, the linear distance aspect would not be conducive with it not being parallel, would it? You can't have the description be linear unless it's parallel. That's part of the axiomatic principle of distance in this instance. Now, you tied that at about the 10-minute mark in your video. My God, my memory's good today. What was it? I've forgotten what it was. You tied it to. Oh yeah, statute miles.
Yeah, it's just, no matter what you do, no matter what you do, your distances between any 2 points are going to be a straight line. Like, they don't understand a straight line. I mean, I had to tell so many of them that a curved line is not a curved line, or an arc length on your globe is not straight. It's a non-deviating curved line or a non-deviating arc length. It is not a straight line. You know what I mean? They don't understand. Like, and they come back with stupid rubbish. Like, Divergent Droid left a comment underneath the video where he's going through like miles and kilometers and all that, and meters and all this, and how they're all linear and straight, and he gave definitions of everything. And so Andrew Johnson underneath said, if I have a meter long piece of string and I roll it into a ball, is it still a meter long? You know what I mean? It's like, you're missing the point, Andrew. You know what I mean? A mile can be curved as well. It sure can be. You can curve a mile, absolutely. You can measure a curved mile. That's fine. But the mile itself is a straight line. It's a linear straight line. Basically, it's a horizontal straight line. That's what a mile is. Same with a kilometer, same with a nautical mile. Or a stadia. That's the whole. That's what I mean. You measure a distance in one straight line. You don't measure it, you don't curve the line to measure a distance. As far as using a unit in their origins, like a meter, a millimeter, an inch, a foot, they're all straight lines. Everything is straight. All zeniths are parallel. Everything's horizontal. I don't know what we're going to say. Go on, Chocolate.
Well, Brian, according to the son of an astronaut, a straight line can curve as long as it curves in a straight way.
Yeah, that's what you're getting. See,
that's a quote. That's from M. Scott Veach.
Yep.
You know what, though? I've been only talking about this yesterday with someone, or during the night there with someone. It's only a matter of time now before consensus swings in our favor, because the craziness that the people we are against have to come out with.
Oh, I was about to go on to that, but on the completely opposite end of the line. Okay, I was about to say, are we about to what's the word? Merge into the next wave of whatever feast of nonsense needs to be pumped into the general public so that they remember to ridicule flat Earth? Because we flat earthers come and go in waves of about 10-year stints. Now, I got this affirmed 10 years ago by Charles Flat Earth Man, and I asked him in an interview because he was the longest here as an anti-flat earther. He outlasted the wave previous and was telling me about the wave prior to that from 10 years before that. So you're about to launch into, the consensus will be on our side this time next year. There'll be a bazillion of us. Right, that was your line that you're about to go on. I was about to go on along the lines of, are we going to merge into the next line of anti-flat earth nonsense and feast of garbage? Strike that, reverse it.
Yeah, not really, no. What I was going to say is that with the things that these people are coming out with, there's so much evidence coming out now, and it's been brought out in such a way that maybe it wasn't brought out in the past. That things that just cannot be done on a globe. There has to be flat for these things. That it's only a matter of time before, like, the everyday people hear those and then hear the rebuttals to them. And just like years ago, with people like Rumpus and that, and Brenda and all them, they created flat earthers because when ordinary everyday people heard the crazy nonsense they were going on with, they said, I can't be on the side of these people. So it's only a matter of time. I mean, it's only a matter of time before consensus swings their way, before that conversation's happening at that bus stop that you spoke about, Nathan. Because I know of a couple of conversations that happened in recent weeks by pure chance, and people were swinging to our side. Just random conversations out in reality. People were swinging to our side. That's what I was going to say.
Isn't it kind of funny though? Like, you would think, like, we're supposedly in the most advanced stage of technology and all that, right? We got AI and CGI and all that, and I don't think it's working for them because people who believe this nonsense don't believe this nonsense. A lot of people are just like, I believe we live in a ball, but this is all crap. They're not getting any help from, I mean, honestly, the Globers never got help from the mainstream narrative, right? That's always why they've been flailing the whole time. That's why their arguments, like, it's too big to measure the curve. They're not getting any help from their side on that. So the little help that they do get by sending these females up to space and William Shatner up to space and all this crap, none of that's working for them. I don't think it's really working for them. They're trying. It's clear they're attempting to push the narrative, but honestly, Brian, I think you're right, man. I think there's a change coming, man. It's happening, I
You
think.
guys are delusional. It's been like this forever.
Nah,
It's been like probably been like this for
nah, you're
150 years.
delusional.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm starting to think. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we could be OD'd. You might be right, but I don't know. I don't think we are, to be honest.
And so you know, Nathan, Charles Flat Earth Matt, Globe Earth Matt, right, was hanging around on the
Globe
Flat
Earth,
Earth. Yeah, that's what I call him, because that's what he deserves. He doesn't deserve any real Matt. He's such a lawyer. But he was hanging around on the Flat Earth Society website only a couple of years before this took off. I think 2012 or 2008 or something like that. Don't be listening to that guy telling you lies. He's telling you little lies. You're going off of what Charles Glober Matt told you. He's an unbelievable lawyer. Nothing he says can ever be believed.
I do know that. I've called him out. I mean, the most egregious was, we don't even need R. That was the most egregious of all of them.
Well, look, the thing is this, right? As Chocolate said, they're not getting any help on the measurement side because they can't get any because there's no measurements of their globe. So all they are getting, the only help they are getting, is pathetic help. It's like they're more or less taking the piss out of them as opposed to helping. And the truth be told, the people who are in the positions laughing at these people, they don't have any respect for them. They want to hand them a load of rubbish. That's why they're not putting any effort into it. NASA stopped putting effort into it. They're not putting any effort into trying to help improve their position. They're just giving them rubbish to believe it. Because they don't respect them. They look down upon them because they see them as idiots. I'm sorry to tell you out there, but people like Jeff Bezos, as far as he's concerned, you're a kind of bozos. I'm sorry to tell you. You have to wake up. He's laughing at you. He goes to bed laughing at you. He wakes up laughing at you. And he'll continue to do it as long as you keep following him. Him and Elon Musk and NASA and all this other rubbish. You know, listening to surveyors tell you things that are a load of rubbish and pilots that are telling you things that are a load of rubbish. And supposed navigators that are telling you things that are a load of rubbish. No matter what you ever come up with, it always, in its essence, requires the earth to be flat. All of it. And you'll never get away from that.
Right. It's axiomatic to what you discussed in your video today. So I'm going to do another plug for it before we get into general chit-chat. Unbelievably, we've spent half an hour discussing it, Brian, which is always good. Before we do move on, though, typically your videos generate huge numbers of comments. Is that the case with this video?
Well, that's only gotten started, but it has already about 50 comments. But like the other videos before, like I've had videos where the comments go past the views somehow. You know what I mean? It's crazy, look.
That's nuts. But is that the case now?
Not on this video, no, not yet. But it could happen in the next few days. The views go a bit. See what happens? I get a good few flat earthers viewing it, and they don't comment because they let to deal with a load of idiots, right? So they don't bother comment. Only some of the flat earthers. There's a few out there, Johnny Sharpen and James Hawke and a few others. They'll come in and they comment. but there's a skeptic will comment. There's a few people that comment, but there's a lot of flat earthers just don't give any comment, because as soon as they leave a comment, they're going to have 5 trolls. Do you know what I mean? Bothering them. So that's why they don't say anything. So at the moment, no. But after a couple of days, you're going to see the comments starting to even out with the views. If you go back to the video before that and the video before that I brought out last week, you see the comments there are nearly even out with the views. So
Cool.
I say what they don't want to hear, and they don't want anyone telling anyone, and that's why I annoy them really bad. That's why there's so much comments there.
Well, I did get a fair bit of discussion. Would you not agree? As much as you were like, no, that's not how it went down with Adam. We did. I say we. I listened to quite an extensive discussion prior to you making today's video. So again, it's a testament to how heavily critiqued almost everything we do gets now internally. That is to say, nothing tends to just go out and be unfiltered.
Well, I wanted today's video to actually be a presentation, but I cannot get QE's attention. I just gave up on it. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be a presentation because it's an absolute killer. You're literally giving, like Maxime came up with this challenge, this selection navigation challenge that's totally fraudulent, because he knows that once all the measurements are done, the things he wants to look past, that once you go to the mathematics after that, they're going to be trying to place these positions on the globe. He knows that's what they're trying to do. So his challenge is a complete fraud. My challenge is not. My challenge is, if it's a globe, there's a geometry, that's what you got to do. That's what has to happen for a globe. Right? Go up in your airplane and do it. That's my challenge. So there's nothing hidden. There's no nonsense. The only thing is, I'm in the same position as Huma's in, is that I know they can't do it. And they can't do it because the earth is flat. We can't do Hume's challenge because the almanac and all the nonsense that goes with it all supports a globe after you've measured the earth. After you've done all your measurements on a flat plane. That's the problem. Well, it doesn't, because at the end of that process, they end up using a flat stationary plane. That's what the rest of the ballers don't realize, and Hume doesn't realize. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that this is a challenge that I'm putting out there, and that's why I wanted it to be a presentation, but I gave up on that because it just wasn't going to happen. Because the only way I was going to get QE's attention is through Adam. If I want your attention, I have to go through refracted curvature. He's the Nathan whisperer. To get QE's attention, I have to go through Adam.
Nice, Brian. That is the truth.
It is the truth. I have to get QE's attention. I have to go through Adam. He's the QE whisperer.
Well, let's just point it out. There's 10 big ones on the line for this. So this challenge, if fulfilled, you'll get 10 big ones. That's right, 10 English pounds.
When you were doing that BBC radio the other day on QE show, that was hysterical. I came in.
Yeah, that is exactly the BBC World Service voice. Or from one of those black and white BBC documentaries from back in the day.
Oh, that reminds me, the Kit mic, do you know, on one of the shows, I think it was on Friday. So I was like, what does this mic sound like? And you're all like, sounds like Kit. Sounds like the Night Industries 2000. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Well, rather than that particular mic was cheap. So it doesn't warrant me sitting down and making a dedicated video. So what I tend to do is, while I'm testing them, I'm still recording. Once that gets published, so it's part of the overlap of YouTubing, I trim it out. So I trim out us talking about Night Industries 2000 and that mic sold. So it sold the same day. Presumably because people want to sound like Kit, which is fair enough.
It was kind of cool when I opened up the YouTube just to see if you were live. And literally the first thing I saw was Kit. I was just like, oh, I'm so geeked out.
That's why, because on Friday's show, I was testing all those mics. I'm hopefully going to do the same on today's after show. I've got a whole load of adapters that have come from China. So once my Chinesium adapters get here, I can start testing some of the old vintage mics that just won't work on modern equipment. So that's partly where I'm hopefully making money with microphones, buying stuff that functionally no one can get working and getting it working, showing it working, and then selling it hopefully for a profit. But that means I've obviously got to test each one of them on video, so I can stick a video on the ad and go, look, this does work, this is how it sounds. Because I think with this, it's nice that you can actually hear how some of these weird mics sound. And weirdly, modern mics are all boring. Right, I got to the Sures, I was all excited about them because it's like, oh, well, name Taylor Swift. She sings through a Shure Beta when she's on stage. And you're like, oh, right, okay, so this is like the Taylor Swift mic. And you talk through it, this is really boring. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly clear and everything about it's great. It sounds really clear. But this is boring. Whereas the older ones are coloured, as in they colour the sound. They make it sound distorted in some way or another. But that is interesting, right? So I'm actually more excited about things like that cheap $10, if you will, kit mic than I am about the £100, £200 mics that are super, super accurate, because they're just a bit nothingy. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing to them. Whereas the ones that are vintage and coloured and also quite expensive, those are my favourites. Anyway. But yeah, kit mic sold. How's everyone else's weekend been? All I've done is list microphones all weekend, in case you can't tell. I wait till half an hour into the show. You cannot moan.
Fired.
Go ahead, Neil. Sorry.
You asked about the weekend. I said, mine sucks. I got fired.
You don't get fired. You got removed from an app that you use.
Yeah, more's the pity. At least you get fired. You can speak to somebody. There's nobody to speak to in these stupid app world things.
Anybody else other than Neil being removed from his 15% or exceeding 15% of rejecting deliveries is already accepted? Yeah, do listen, Neil.
Yeah, you hit it right in the head. You got it. You know it. And I was joking about it the other day. I was hovering right around it. But I thought I had one to play with. But I guess I didn't.
So yeah, what else has anybody been doing over the weekend?
I mowed the lawn.
Say again?
I mowed the lawn.
Let's try that once more. Other than general domestic tasks, I mean, I did the dishwasher several times. Made several meals also. I mean, has anybody got any flat earth related news? No, I'm going to talk about microphones. All I've focused
No,
on.
Earth is measured and demonstrated flat constantly. Everyday life demonstrate Earth flat because it is flat.
Yeah. It's always in the background at least, because where you wash your dishes, on a flat Earth. Oh, okay.
Can't wash dishes without a flat plane. I love it.
I mean, it's true, right? It's not like I'm lying.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, in the pre-show, I was asked, when's the book coming out? You said it'd come out in Easter. I was like, yeah, I did, didn't I? I also said it would come out last year, but that's just the way life goes sometimes. Now, as I was explaining, as I've just spoken about mics, why am I talking about mics? Well, while we're writing the book, I have taken my eye off the ball. I haven't. I've only got 2 eyes, and I can only watch 1 ball, and I've got about 4 balls to watch. So one of those balls is the YouTubing ball, but it's one of them that while I am actually watching it go down in terms of the number of views, and that's disappointing, I have sort of mitigated for that fact by starting up vlogging microphones on eBay after buying them, testing them, making sure they work, and then showing that that is the case. Hopefully I can turn a little bit of profit and keep the lights on, where while we're writing the book, my time is obviously dedicated to that, and I need something that's passive and just ticking over in the meantime while we're doing it. Speaking of which, Adam's around at the minute. Hopefully I'll get his attention, or he'll hear me when he's in between doing what he does, and let me know if we are actually doing it tonight. because we didn't manage to get any. Well, we did get a little bit done on Friday. I disappeared on Friday with people writing my book for me, literally. So Brian, who takes the piss out of this all the time, because there's lots going on without necessarily any input needed from me, or minimal input from me while I'm just sitting around watching it happen, right? Well, on this occasion, I literally went out and had a curry with Craig on Friday while the book was getting done. And that's when I came back and the book wasn't getting done, but what was getting discussed was what we've covered in the first half of the live show and indeed in the pre-show. That was what was being discussed by Adam and obviously Brian. Are we doing the book today? Maybe I'll get an answer. I don't know if I'll get in. Hopefully someone will interrupt me and tell me if that is or isn't the case. But yeah, while we're doing that, go on.
I hadn't been around. I was away. I just came into the call, and I presumed whatever work was being done on the book had been done already. So I wasn't, like, I'd been missing for a couple of hours. So I don't know what work. There could have been work done on the book. Adam would have to tell you, or Flatsy, or QE, or someone, maybe Neil.
Well, it's really interesting because there's several of us, right, that go out for a curry and have done for, I don't know, it must be at least 2 or 3 years now. It's quite a while. But in any event, right, there's let's say the 4 or 5 main protagonists that go, sometimes have others there. And a couple of the lads, I was resigned to the fact that they knew Earth was flat and I kind of dealt with it. But then I found out after Friday's curry that no, one of them specifically is still flashing up his iPhone to Craig, who's on the panel now, actually, saying, nah, you know, this windmill going over the curve of the Earth proves we are on a boat. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not moaning at Craig, but I was like, why didn't you tell me before we went? Because I thought that was all dealt with, you know, internally, because it's like I say, there's several of us that are always sort of the regulars at that kind of curry evening, and often others, external people, outsiders, come along, and then they're like, it's like bringing a baller in on a Discord server, right? You give them a little poke, tell them Earth's flat, and see how they react, see what they've got in their arsenal to react with, and the table of curry men gets louder and louder and louder until about 11 when we all bugger off home, right? That's normally the way of things. But on Friday, it was just us, right? There was no need for the subject to come up, and we were just chit-chatting about random other stuff. I think we were talking about quantum mechanics, actually. But I just felt like it was a wasted opportunity because one of our own, I was like, I thought that was dealt with. But au contraire, not at all. So I now found out. It's like, all right, well. But windmills over the curve. You're like, how 8 years ago is that? Do you remember when Ranty, believe it or not, Ranty's a baller now. Ranty was asked, what's he called? He's now called, might as well shout him out, as a fellow
Auditing the
YouTuber.
Absurd.
Auditing the Absurd, right? Shout out to you, formerly Ranty Flat Earth, now Auditing the Absurd as a YouTuber. I tip my hat. Nevertheless, right, this gentleman went out.
He's not a baller.
He is a baller.
He's not a baller. He's not.
Anti-flat earther.
Anti-flat earther.
He's not even that. He's not even that.
He is. He's decided to be an anti-flat earther. Now, currently...
And he thought it was going to work out for him. It didn't. That's why he's doing other content. Go on, anyway. Sorry.
Well, yes, we're the same. Last week I was saying we're the same. Anti-flat earthers, just less courageous in terms of being able to accept the societal brunt that they'll face when they admit that they're investigating this subject. Easier, as an anti-flat earther who's the same as us, just a bit more cowardly, to project that onto a third party, us. So we not only have to deal with the societal brunt, we have to deal with our own, coming to terms with it and investigating it, whilst we've got other third parties telling us, you need to tell me an explanation for this. Right? Well, Ranty's gone over to that side because that's the side that he thought, to respond to what you've just said, would algorithmically favour him. Well, I don't know. Simon Dan, as much as he's more popular than I, he's never going to be Joe Rogan. This subject's not algorithmically that important, is it? Let's be honest.
Exactly, but I think Ranty thought that he was going to, all I'll say is that I could predict that there's a good chance Ranty will be flipping back. That's all I'm saying, within the next year.
Well, either way, I mean, I'm not too concerned about Ranty. I'd never got on with him that well. When he was a flatty, I was always arguing with him. But anyway, maybe that's just me sensing blood in the water or a flip-flopper. in the making. So if he flops back after flipping, then that's par for the course as far as I'm concerned. I'll do a shout out to him, and then we'll go back to these windmills that were discussed over curry. So shout out to let's just put this up on screen. Sorry, shout out to Robert. The mic endeavour seems to be working out. 100. I don't know if I'm not so sure about that, Robert. I've spent a couple of grand on microphones. Although that said, I for the first time, as much as I was about to demean it and go, no, I've spent a ton of money and nothing's happening, I actually did start to bank money yesterday. I was like, said to my wife, look, here's 40 quid coming from eBay that's not just immediately being spent on more microphones. It's actually going back into the bank. And then I went and looked at my YouTube AdSense, and I was like, oh my God, oh no, please, let's sell them all. That's what I thought. I was like, oh God. And I was like, no, just keep calm. There's something that's been built up to mitigate for this. So I'm like, shit, I'm not going to pay the mortgage this month. I felt that last month and the month before, and I'm finally somewhere where, like I say, 40 quid or whatever it was I banked yesterday. I was like, no, money is coming in. Thank the Lord. Because I ain't thanking AdSense, I can tell you that much. But I really do appreciate it, Robert. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully people will buy microphones from me. I might have completely misjudged the market and terribly wasted lots and lots of money, literally thousands. We will see. Hopefully not. Hopefully it'll keep my mortgage paid while we write this book. But the sooner I can stop selling microphones, frankly, the better. As much as I'm trying to retain my enthusiasm, because you need to, right, to sell stuff, you need to be passionate about it. And I do like microphones, otherwise I wouldn't be selling them at all. But by the same token, I like this. Talking about them on a video is actually what I want to do. It could be anything. Yeah, it could be pool filters. You know what I mean? If I was talking about it on a YouTube video, I'd be happy. So the fact that it's microphones, flat earth, regardless, I'm happy because I'm doing it in a sense while I'm broadcasting. So if that makes sense to the audience listening to this, it's like, well, my passion for the microphones isn't really where it's at. It's my passion for the talking about the microphones on YouTube videos, because it's totally surplus. I don't need to make videos about these mics, but because I can extract some degree of enjoyment out of just fucking retailing old tat and polishing dog turds, which is all I'm actually doing. Thank you for the super chat. So yeah, so any other news over the weekend? Anything else exciting? Like I say, I haven't actually talked about any of my microphones yet. I could definitely do that for the last quarter of an hour if there's nothing else flat earth related.
Well, they have got exciting news flat earth related, but I'm not telling you. I'm not allowed.
That's nonsense. You've just made that up.
If that's what you want to believe.
Oh, here we go. Well, what I do know is that in a not so long period from today, we will actually have finished the book. I can almost taste it. The light of the tunnel is definitely glaring into the train, if you will. Right? It's not like, when will we get to the end of this tunnel? My God, it's dark and it's stayed dark and it's been dark forever. It's like, no, there's the end. It's just there, literally just there. See it? Yeah, cool. So we all know that there is an end in sight. And no, I promise you there isn't another tunnel afterwards. Yeah? So the end is close. And that will literally put a shot in the arm of this YouTube channel. Right? I'm going to have to go out on tour to promote that book. And turn it into money so I can pay the mortgage with it. But yeah. It's going to be a reference book. It's going to be fantastic. It's really, really coming along. It's getting that high spick and polish put all over it. Spick and span looking fantastic. The bits that have already been done, I mean. Yeah, a lot of work from a lot of people. I should really reiterate that you need to contact me if you do actually want to be a part of flogging it, because that is still going to be the case, that you'll get 30% of the sale if you promote it. You just have to sign up with my distributor, whatever you want to call him. What is his name? What do we call Chuck? I forgot what his actual title is. Publisher. I get there in the end. But yeah, I need to put you in touch with my publisher so that he can literally get banking details from you, so that when you put the information out there verbally on a video, i.e., hey, Nathan's book's linked below. If you did want to buy a copy of the Flat Earth reference book, when anybody actually does click on that link, you'd get revenue, 30% specifically, which is the same as I get as an affiliate program. So it's been designed to very much encourage people to want to sell it. You're like, what? I get the same as you do? Yes. Yes, you do. If you want to retail the book, if you want to stick a link beneath it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like microphones. You haven't got to clean them and make sure they work and take them to Craig if they're broken. Nothing like that. You just have to put a link and talk about it. And then you'll get 30% of the sale of a book that's taken a lot of people, a lot of man hours to produce. So, yeah, from that regard, if you are interested, hopefully lots and lots of affiliates will say, oh, yeah, I'll definitely go for that. I'm making the same as you. Yes, you are. I would imagine that would be encouraging for people to want to go out of their way to actually promote it, knowing they're making the same as the author if it does actually sell from their affiliate link. Yeah, drop me a line by whatever means. Lots of links below this video to get in touch with me if you did want to be that person and you do want to put links to the Flat Earth reference book when it comes out. And indeed to hopefully flog it to your friends and family, because you'll want them to have it once it's out. Which is going to be imminent. You say that is going to be imminent? That's kind of redundant. It's imminent. Anyway, 90 people watching. Please share the show.
Can you keep this charade going for another 15 minutes? Because there's only 2:45.
Pete, what's charade going? No, I'll just talk about microphones. I've said that already. I thought I'd be testing them on the live show if my Madubris had come from AliExpress. You guys have AliExpress in the States? Clearly not. Where'd you get your Chinesium when you need it? Clearly nobody's in need of any Chinesium. Well, I definitely am in need of Chinesium. And I've purchased vast quantities of it to make old, tatty, cheesy microphones made of plastic function in a modern society. And I've got about...
People...
oh, go on.
I'm just saying people are getting a lot of stuff from China off of Temu, I think, rather than AliExpress. For individual things. AliExpress is good for, I think, for bulk items. But Temu is good for singular items, I think.
That's correct.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, I buy on AliExpress in bulk, so like I don't know how many adapters I got. I think it was 16 or 18 adapters from Ali, and that will sort out all of my vintage microphones and make them all, I hope, work. Most of them will be dead, as in that's kind of what I want to do, right? When people go through eBay and they're like, I really want to use a vintage microphone like that kit mic, and then you come across one and let's say it's 15 quid. The first question you ask yourself is, number one, what does this actually sound like? And number two, will it work when I get it home? That's the two things that I have always asked myself when shopping on eBay for microphones. Will this work? What does it sound like? So if I can answer those two questions, I feel like I'm adding value. Not only will I answer how it sounds and if it works, I'll offer the ability to make it work on anybody's kit. Like put an XLR on the end, in other words. So it'll just work on a modern piece of equipment. So you can plug it in, go, oh yeah, sound like kit, and immediately get bored of it. And hopefully that's worth 25 quid to somebody.
How come you're so easy to understand? But I'm watching a show called Mobland, and I can't understand a word Tom Hardy is saying. I have no clue when he speaks. Is it because he's
Too muffled.
deliberately using a street accent?
Is it too muffled? It's just you can't. It's not intelligible.
No, he just rattles it off so fast, and I think it's got like a lot of slang, but I can't understand them. I got to put on the freaking the words. It's like he's
Okay.
speaking this freaking. I don't know. It's a good show though. It's called Mobland. It's all about in the UK, but I don't understand.
he's in
him.
English.
But you're English, and I understand you perfectly.
Oh, that's because I can speak correctly.
Nah, it's an accent, or I mean, I don't know, maybe a dialect that's different when you speak than some, like, I don't know the exact show he's talking about because I've never seen that show, but I know what he means. And so it's like, when you English guys start speaking, we're like, what the hell?
That's because-
What is he saying?
Yeah, but never with Nathan or
Yeah,
even
that's because I'm
Adam.
a professionally trained voice actor. That's why. So that's what I trained to do. So there's a show. Anybody here familiar with Hello Hello?
Yeah.
You know the blonde on Hello Hello? Tall blonde with a whip.
Yes.
She gave me voice lessons.
Good moaning.
Good moaning. She gave me voice lessons. And her husband. But she was there at the college giving us voice lessons. Right, that's what she did after the fact. So, knowing how to enunciate, doing all the stuff that you see actors doing when you'll have a behind the scenes or a bit in a film that's showing how actors on stages perform, they're all doing that, all that kind of crap, warming up their voice. Yeah, all that stuff is stuff that I've been trained to do so that I could project to the back of a theatre. One has to be heard. Well, most people haven't.
Sorry, I've got. Can you yodel?
Can I yodel? I don't think I've ever tried to yodel. That's not very British.
My father could yodel. He used to sing. He could yodel really loud, really, really loud.
That's lovely. Thank you for that.
Jeez, you took me
It's
all
good
the
to
way
know.
back to my cousin's party. There was a lady that used to come on during a talent show and yodel. Holy shit, every year it was the same thing.
Well, if it's echoing around the mountains, I bet it's quite spectacular. Into a, glass of Nuki Brown, like, not so much.
So
Yeah,
are you going to be narrating the book, Nathan? Like,
I will be,
there
yeah.
like a narrated version?
Absolutely. That's partially why I fell into doing I was explaining to my mate, right? I was like, I've started a new business. He was like, what? Because he occasionally watches the YouTube videos. He's like, doing what? I was like, selling microphones. He was like, what? I was like, how's that happened? I was like, well, I just wanted to do a voiceover. I'm going to end up voicing over my own book. So I wanted to buy a really nice microphone to do it with. And then after buying 2 or 3, because I'm good at buying stuff cheap, and I'm like, I don't want that, I'll flog it. I ended up turning a profit. This was how I was explaining it to my mate. He's like, oh, okay. So you just bought it cheap enough to put it back on eBay and make a profit? And I was like, yeah, I did that 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, hang on a second. I can see a pattern forming here. Next thing you know, you've got a couple of grand's worth of mics sat behind you and you're shitting your pants that they're all going to sell. I say a couple of grand. That's not true. What I mean by that is, if I look at the list of everything I've purchased, it is over £2,000. But obviously, as it's come in, I have immediately put it back on eBay and sold quite a lot of it. So it's not like I'm sat here with £2,000 worth of microphones behind me. I'm not. That's an exaggeration. But that is literally how much I have spent on the endeavour so far. If I tot up only the one side of the spreadsheet, if you will. I haven't actually got a spreadsheet. I've got notes and do the maths manually in my head. Because I don't know how to use a spreadsheet.
Yeah, Adam might do a really boring one for you. Adam might do one up for you. Do you
have any idea how many things I get Adam? The only reason I'm able to do this is because Adam picked up the first microphone for me. My God, being empathic, Adam probably is put upon by absolutely everybody, always, for everything. I'm not asking him to do anything ever again.
Yeah, but Adam's also very smart and can do things.
He's only one man, though, eh?
Yes.
Right, so I'm not asking him to do anything. That's just totally unreasonable. Adam has done more than enough. I'm only in the position to do this with microphones because I developed a float to do it with because I found a Neumann on Facebook. Now, having a moderate understanding of microphones, enough to get by, I spotted that it weren't a fake. And I didn't know how this kid had got his hands on a real Neumann. But I went to Adam, please, can you go and pick it up? And he was like, from where? I'm like, this is the street name. He's like, what, the rough bit of town? Okay. And he went and picked it up for me. This is Adam, right? This is not a bullshit story. This happened 2 or 3 months ago. And to his credit, he just upped and did it after work with the cash in hand. And it wasn't a small amount. I mean, it is to me. It's a lot of money when it's 140 quid, I think it was, for something that retails new for about £800. But presumably this kid knows somebody who's got a studio or something similar, and they've got to the point where these mics have become a little bit tatty, too tatty to put in front of clients. They've gone, hey kid, do you want to buy one of these really valuable microphones? It's worth a lot of money. I don't know, 50 quid. And the kid's gone, yeah, please. Or whatever. Yeah, man, and ting, I'll have it, yeah, man. And he's bought it for 50 quid and then put it on Facebook for 300 quid. And obviously with a horrendous picture of it, nobody's interested. And when it's got down to about 180 quid, I've said, will you take 140? And he's bit my arm off, right? And based on these crappy little pictures, I've turned that into 300 quid, which is what it was worth. And what he was asking for originally. But with that profit, immediate profit, I might add, I was now in a position where I've turned over, or haven't turned over, I'm still sat on a shit ton of them, but I've spent £2,000 on microphones. That all started with one Neumann. I'm not even kidding. If it wasn't for Adam doing that, I wouldn't now be going, I'm all right, we can now do the book. I'm not going to go, just publish it, I need the money. That's what I'd be doing if it wasn't for Adam. The knock-on effect of that one transaction, like doubling my money, more than doubling my money on one microphone, because it was a real Neumann.
So Adam had to nearly get stabbed and robbed.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like,
your mic selling career.
yeah, he was in a knifey part of his town. It's his town. You know, we're not talking about my town. The only reason he was doing it was because it was local to him, right?
For those that don't know, the nickname that Nottingham, where Adam's from, which is Nottingham, is Shottingham. So that's been its nickname. Yeah, that's his nickname.
I like Nottingham. When I was a rep, I had a dealer in Nottingham, and he was one of my favourite dealers. And the front of his store was all glass. It was a massive store. It must have been like a furniture shop or something at some point, because it was just massive, like a car showroom. And when you rock up to this shop, hi-fi shop, and there's all these really expensive, like 10, 15, 20, probably now it'd be more than that, 70, 80 grand hi-fis in the window, all lit up. And you get there, and to me, it was like hi-fi Nirvana. Like, get there, and all the angels singing behind all these big hi-fis. I loved arriving at, what was it called? I think it's called Moorgate. Was it Moorgate? I can't remember what the name of the store was. Regardless. Might have just been Nottingham.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that Nottingham has a lot of good points to it, but it's just it got a name some years back because, I don't know, gangsters or something.
I want to know why when you presented this little idea to Nathan that he shot you down. And now he seems to be doing it, selling microphones. But when you suggested it, you got shot right down. It's weird.
You know what it is, Neil? Some people just don't want to admit that they're fetishes. That's what's wrong.
Fetishes?
Nathan he has a fetish for mics. And he likes to buy and sell them. And he's actually into doing it. But he's trying to pretend he's a flat earther in the meantime. Writing the book.
Actually, it's been all about the mics all along. Now, I do like them. They're like speakers. Like, I'm obsessed about them. And then was like, I like speakers. How's the best way to get a really nice hi-fi, like I've just described with a lot of passion? Well, the only way to do it is to work in that industry, and then you can get trade prices on stuff. So that's how I did it. I've got a really nice monitoring setup that's the same as I've had for 20 plus years, because I worked in the industry to buy it. Well, it's the same equivalent. It's like, how am I going to get a really nice mic? Well, the only way to get one for a really good price is to be working with them and selling them and stuff. And then you come across them as that happened. Now, for me, that happened almost immediately. By about the 5th or 6th or 7th transaction, I got a Neumann. The one I'm talking to you on now, I got. And I'm like, that was the main objective. But by then, I was already making profit off them. Like, I want more because I need to pay the mortgage. And like, here we are 2 months later, and I'm finally starting to actually put money in the bank. But first, I'm sure I
What?
mentioned this already. First 40 quid went in my bank. I think it was yesterday. I'm sure I've mentioned this already. Anyway.
I have a set of whatchamacallit, a set of studio speakers. They're not really big, but they're a nice handy size. And there's a really nice sound out of them. And I haven't heard them in years because I gave the interface to my friend to use. That's all I have to say about it.
Very, very good.
Are we going to start a
Did
speaker
we,
sales business?
No, I've been there and done that. I've already got all that stuff, so I don't need any speakers. But microphones is a recent endeavour, and I didn't know everything there was to know about them. So if you ask me a question about hi-fi, there's a good chance I'd know the answer. Well, up until a month ago, if you asked me about a microphone, I'd be like, I vaguely know. Now, I'd consider myself that 80-20 rule, where I'm at 80% of the knowledge I would ever need. I'm no expert. I haven't got that 20% that will take me 10 years of selling microphones to be called an expert in it. Like I definitely would call myself an expert in flat Earth. I mean, I've got Brian right next to me. I'll just ask him.
Yeah, or Adam or something.
Yeah. If I've got a
Curious.
flat Earth question that needs answering, I've got expert status because, got a man in a wing I can just ask. It's called Adam.
Yeah, we just got to get rid of
not to take
pricks in Discord.
not to take the conversation away from flat Earth, because you need flat Earth microphones as well. But the video that's in Skype, did we go over that? I think it's Wiz Khalifa, another rapper who came out as a flat earther, or talking about flat Earth or something like that. I didn't see it. I heard about it, but I didn't see it. Did we go over that, or is that for future
I don't
reference or what?
remember. I don't remember any show where that was gone over.
So it's
Well, it was
bootleg,
just posted in.
bootleg Kev, right?
Say that again.
Bootleg Kev. Is that what you're talking about?
That's the name of the YouTuber he's talking to. explaining why he's a
the
flat
headline that's
earther.
going around today: "You're the latest flat earther."
Oh, for real? Yeah.
I saw you said.
Okay, so fill us in. What's the story here? Who are these dudes?
Well, I'm not sure who the interviewer is, but I know the rapper is, I think, Wiz Khalifa. And basically...
Hold on.
from this-
Which one's which? Who's the interviewer? The black guy, the interviewer, or the white guy? Is he white? How many shades of white is this guy? Either way, who's the interviewer and who's the interviewee?
if you've got a black guy and a white guy, the rapper's the black guy.
Yeah.
Always the
About
black
Wiz
guy.
Khalifa?
Okay, so this
Yeah,
guy's.
Never heard Vanilla Ice?
Let's not go down this path.
No, I just mean the Wiz Khalifa's black. So if you've got a black guy and a white guy, Wiz Khalifa's the black guy. That's all I meant.
Wait a second. Wiz Khalifa came out as a flat earther? This is news to me.
Do you follow
Well,
Wiz Khalifa or something, Neil?
I know of his music. Yes, I do. Some songs. I mean, I don't know him like I know the Beatles or the Police or even U2. But I've heard his stuff.
Name one song. I'm going to call this right now. Name one.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
I need
I'll
to-
fully admit that's probably the only song I would name.
You mean he got that right? I am absolutely lost for words.
I got it right. I'm a
believe
musician, bro.
Oh my God, Neil's trendier than I am. Okay, well, I'll deal with that later.
I heard your explanation on the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah.
So
Did you just say on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Nah, Joe Budden.
Oh,
Budden. another
break
rapper.
because you have obviously been all over the world.
hmm
Do you truly think that?
is that obvious? Is this guy a big guy? Wiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
live on a
he's
flat
pretty
plane.
big.
Is that?
No, fair enough. I don't, the fact that I don't know, I'm not decrying that he is big or isn't. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I'm just trying to
I just
flesh out your idea a little more.
I just believe more what I see than what
What you're told.
what I'm told, especially the older that I get.
I already like his dulcet tones, as I would call them, right? That's right. What you're hearing there, when I say enjoy their dulcet tones, that's what he's got. I can instantly tell he's going to have a good rapping voice by the way he speaks, right? He's got that tone to his voice, hasn't he? You can hear it.
And the whole
That. Love it.
concept of space is way too big for my imagination anyway. It's too big for a lot of our imaginations. We would love to believe that we could think we know what the shape of the world is, but the reality behind that is like it's impossible. So,
Okay, that's a fairly diplomatic opening. This guy's not dumb. Interesting opener to answer that question. Let's see where it goes next.
Wait till you hear what he goes to for
Okay.
his.
you choose what you want to believe, even if they're
Pause a
facts
second.
supported.
Go ahead, whoever that was.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, that's incorrect. The Earth doesn't have any particular shape. And we can know what it is by a measurement. So, no, incorrect, yeah.
No, I totally agree. But
It does. Hold on, Brian. It does have a shape.
no.
I mean, we just can't get a full view of it.
You don't have to make apologies.
How do
Brian's
we
right.
know that?
But I'm more interested in the way he's slipping his way into this subject with an answer to the question, right? And he's very cool about it though so far. Now, Brian's right in his critique. There's nothing wrong with Brian's critique.
By, scientists or whatever. You believe that. You know what I'm saying? It's a belief. It's not.
They haven't. It's like most of these people haven't been in space.
Yeah,
So
it's just a belief. You just choose what to believe.
Right.
Yeah, that's all. So I don't even think that there's right or wrong. I think that people choose what they want to believe. If you choose to believe that what the scientists say, cool. If
No, now we're going downhill.
you
Category
choose to
error.
travel,
That's that's category error. Neil's called it already. Oh, another ad.
and find out for yourself, or see as much as you can for yourself and base your beliefs off of that.
I don't know. We're not really in a belief situation when it comes to flat Earth. The Earth's measured flat. If you're going to go up to what you think is space to believe in it, then you need to measure your height off surface level or sea level. That's the height off a flat Earth that you'll be measuring to describe altitude with. Meanwhile, the sky is not a vacuum. The gas we're breathing would disperse into it if it was. Outer space, the sky vacuum, is fake.
Then, that's another choice. And that's more or less what I did. And based off of me traveling, I've only moved flat.
No, you're a travelling man.
I've only moved, and looking at the map and the routes that we take, it doesn't seem like we're going around anything. It just seems like we're just going straight over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, spot on. That's the standard we lay down here daily. Love it. So far, so good, mate. Yeah, stick to that. You won't go far wrong. Yep, everything about it is associated flat too. Linear distances on the flat map with flat directions. All measured and charted with angles off a flat Earth to the stars. Everything about every aspect of what that gentleman just said was flat. In all regards, there are no exceptions. Love it.
Over top
Yeah,
of...
but you know what? Hold on. If he comes across us, he's not far off. This guy sounds like he would jump right on and get a full understanding of it immediately.
Doesn't
when
sound
he
like he needs
understands
one.
the Earth is measured flat.
That's my point. It doesn't sound like he needs one. I like it when they don't need us.
To back him up, I have astrophysicist Neil Smoking the Grass Tyson with that stuff is flat.
Where it could look like a circle, it could be circular if you rounded it out, but if it's just one thing, it connects exactly the same. So I just don't see the difference.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I also find it very peculiar that we were able to go to the moon in the 60s, but we have yet to do that again.
No, as I just mentioned, we haven't been to the moon because going to the moon would involve traversing a second law of thermodynamics violating a sky vacuum where the gas you're currently breathing in and out of your lungs would disperse into if it was an area of volume 10 to the minus 17 torf to travel to the moon through. Go ahead, whoever that was.
This is that ladder that the normies need to climb to get there. So that's one of the rungs on the ladder. That's how I see it.
That's questionable. A lot of stuff is questionable.
Like I think the whole moon shit was
When you start allowing me to question things, that's when I start to believe other things.
right.
Who's stopping you? I mean, who's he referring to in the third person? When you...
The
Go on.
entire mainstream paradigm that wants to fight the flat earth and fight people's belief in a ball or fight to keep people believing in a ball. He's talking about the entire paradigm.
Or possibly Elon.
Or possibly Eli.
Well, look, the good news
And-
here is he don't have to believe anything. He could know Earth is flat.
Yeah, it's measured flat.
I'm
That's-
not like
that's the
sold.
Sorry, 1 second.
Not a problem.
Sorry, I tried to get that before you pressed play. But that is the problem with the word. They believe that the Earth is globe, and then they switch to believing the Earth is flat. Then they go back to believing the Earth is globe. Then they go back to believing the Earth is flat. The problem is that people believe that you can only believe. When it comes to a globe, you can only believe. When it comes to reality, you can know. You don't have to believe. You can literally know. But people are afraid to move away from just believing. They're afraid of that. You even see it with religious people. They're afraid of moving away from just believing. You know what I mean? That's why they want to have arguments with people who are atheists and stuff like that. Because that keeps them in a belief situation. It's their belief versus my belief, as opposed to their belief means nothing because I know things. You know what I mean? And
Especially
that's
when the
different.
belief you're supposed to have goes against what you experience. I mean, listen to what he just said about what he experienced. He travels a lot. He travels, in his experience, he travels over a flat plane. That's what everybody has experienced.
Yeah.
So where does the ball come in? Oh, that's the belief part.
Yeah, a diagram. That's what you get for that.
Yep, or a cartoon.
On
Yeah, but that's what you
anything,
get,
but
isn't it?
it's just from my experience, it really don't even matter to me all like that because I'm not leaving Earth anytime soon to find out.
Are you gonna if Jeff Bezos hits you to take the Katy Perry flight? Are you doing it?
No, I'm good, man. I won't gain anything from that.
That was.
But it's just funny to me, like how like people are so tripped out about either the Earth being round or the Earth being flat. Like you can argue about that all day. Like you can't argue that hat is black.
Nah, you can't. No, you can't because fundamentally, axiomatically, it's required to be flat. Furthermore, to believe you're on a ball also requires Earth be a flat plane to measure, to create the ball with those measurements. So while you say you can argue about that all day long, and I get you're saying that so you can contrast it by saying you don't care. I get where you're going, but you're wrong because it's not an argument to have. Yeah, and you wouldn't be juxtaposing your lack of concern or care for the argument that you don't want to engage in if you knew it wasn't an argument. So that was quite an extensive critique, but it's still valid. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it seems like he's kind of going there, right? Like he doesn't, maybe he's not aware yet that it's an actual measurement, right? Because he's saying you can't argue with that hat's black. Yeah, you all right, you didn't measure it, but the hat's black, it's obvious, right? So you can't argue with that. If he knew it was a measurement, he wouldn't be even talking about belief. He would just say you can't argue it because it's measured that way.
Exactly. It'd be contrasting it with the hat. The hat's black. There it is. You can see it. There's no arguing with it. It's right in front of you. It is black. Not if it was black when you're holding the hat, right? It's not if it was flat when you're standing on a surface that has to be, to describe it in any way, measure it in any way, or utilize those measurements to create a ball for people to believe in. Because that also relies on a flat earth being measured. If you know that, then it's the hat getting contrasted with the flat earth, as opposed to the belief that people argue about that you want to disassociate yourself from.
That's a black hat, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so like we can't argue about that. That's a fact. it's not a fact of either. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just whatever you believe in. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Nope.
yeah, it might seem cool to like go back and forth and all of this, but nobody really fucking knows. Who knows?
We do, but we've
I
just
do.
covered.
Yep.
We've just covered that. I mean, preemptively, we knew where it was going. Hence, we've already covered it preemptively without having watched this because we've done this before. Shocking, isn't it?
Who knows?
We do. I'll just answer you again. Everybody here, without exception, knows for sure and without a doubt Earth is flat because that's how it's measured in every instance, without exception. So we all know.
Yeah,
I
it's a
feel
flat
like-
stationary enclosed automated dynamic system. That's all it is.
Like, if there's like anybody who would have known, they obviously probably wouldn't be here anymore because they would have fallen off the
Who knows?
other
dog?
side.
Who knows?
Oh,
The Bermuda
boy.
Triangle could be where the
This is reaction. That's where the rewind. He just went, he
You're
leant back in
right.
his chair, went, who knows? And then just drank his water. That to me is the same as us saying wanker, isn't it? Is it worth a rewind? His reaction? No, I don't think it will. But who knows? Leaning back, drink your water is like, because he could hear where he was going with your falling off the edge shit that he's now bringing up.
Earth ends, because a lot of people disappear when there's that Bermuda little.
That's the stutter of a man making stuff up on the spot. A lot of people disappearing at the edges there.
that Bermuda little mountain. Actually,
That's-
never really brought it up.
I didn't need to rewind. Look at this look. That says it all, doesn't it? Right there. That's the look.
Probably a vortex, some sort of alien.
So much stuff is possible. They say that that this is where we live.
You know who he sounds like? Just in his speaking voice, he sounds like Snoop. He's got that tone, hasn't he?
Everybody in chat
So-
says he sounds like chocolate.
Chocolate's got that tone. Yeah, I'd agree.
That's kind of funny.
So much Earth.
Yeah, there's certain black men with that tone. Yeah, and they can rap and sing. Others, not so much. But you've got to have that tone. I had a guy's on the British rapper, English rapper, and he hasn't got that tone, and he's really popular at the moment. I couldn't tell you his name. He was on the charts yesterday.
Is it Tim?
I don't know who it is. It just sounded crap. He hasn't got a nice tone to his voice. And he's rapping away, and I'm listening to this nasally nastiness going, who made you famous?
Is it Tim? Is it the rapper Tim?
Could be. That sounds like it. Is he right up the top of the charts at the moment?
Or is it possibly Simon?
You're just making this up, aren't you?
The only
It's
one
like
that could, the
ice
only
wall.
one that could get away with not having a rapper voice is Eminem.
If you say so.
Even though he's one of the greatest rappers ever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
but he
not,
doesn't have that
going-
tone.
he's not going on tone, is he? Right? He's going on.
No.
That's not what he's. Okay, whatever, Neil.
Walls that we can't go past. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, so my producer.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
producer is a.
Do you
he's
believe
He's
that?
a flat earther. Yeah, you are.
But do you believe in the ice walls?
I don't.
He's now casting aspersions at his producer. Like, yeah, you are. Right? That was is it a backhanded insult when he was telling his producer that he was a flat earther? It's like saying you're a dipshit or an idiot or a retard. Yeah, you are. When he said it. In other words, this guy's pouring scorn. And I would imagine that got picked up on. Yeah? The rapper guy, the whiz guy, doesn't strike me as stupid. So the fact that he just threw that out at his producer and you could hear the producer off camera shout back, yeah, that's not going to be lost on him. In other words, this guy on the left, I don't know what his name is, he doesn't like flat earthers. Like, I now know that. Go ahead.
Tim, I think his name is.
You
Or is it
just-
Simon?
shh, I'm not going to trust anything you say now because I do that. You stole that from me. Just start making up names. Is it Tony? It could be Tony. Is it Tony? Terry.
Don't.
Why not?
I don't know.
See?
I don't. How about this? I don't know.
You don't want to.
How about this? I just don't know.
You
It's almost
don't
like
know.
with
We don't know.
Exactly.
Who knows?
That's my whole entire approach. That's my approach with religion, because I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
But like the people.
Yeah, again, this is a back and forth of undertones in the conversation. Him going, yeah, is him batting him off after that little slight that's semi-directed at him via the producer. This is an interesting discourse back and forth. There's a few undertones that I quite like in the conversation.
People who would know what happens to you after you die are.
This guy looked uncomfortable, right? Because presumably he likes the guest. I like that look of slightly squirming. I've seen that look.
I think it's something that's going to happen more often because, again, flat Earth ain't going anywhere, right? And I think it's obvious it's just getting bigger. And with the popularity getting up there, or even the negative popularity, if you can consider it that, people are going to want to talk about it. And when you have people like Lord Jamar and Wiz Khalifa now coming out, like it just keeps popping up again and again and again. And I think more podcasters are going to think, well, this is in the news. This is a thing. So I got to talk about it. But a lot of them might be uncomfortable by talking about it because they know the backlash sometimes it gets. But I guess they're willing to take that L for the views, right?
Dead. So like we just choose to believe like.
I don't think that they're dead.
No, I'm saying that those people, like whatever happens once we transition to whatever's next, how do we? It's not like we could find out firsthand what they went through once they passed away. Like, so I feel like most religion is, it's all very similar, and it's all very man-made. But like, who really knows?
What the hell is he babbling about? Anybody know what he's babbling about? I've listened for 25 seconds and I have no idea what he's talking about. Dead people? Who? What? What's he talking about? Anybody? No? Nothing.
Just religion. What people believe happens after you die. Which is not a big stretch considering the subject because we are talking about a religion of the globe. So.
I'm saying?
Who? And not who as in who, but who.
Imagine entering your name.
Okay. Well, I'm going to round up. Unless anybody got anything particularly pressing they want to add to that. No? With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.